This is Gemara in Kesubos, Daf Mem Aleph, and we're holding at the very top of the Amid, beginning a new Mishnah as we're going to conclude this fabulous third Perek, B'siyata Dishmaya, in today's Shir. Says the Mishnah, Ha'omer Patisi, let's get the highlighting going over here. Here it goes. Ha'omer Patisi Esbite, and a lot of what we're going to learn today is going to be a bit of Chazara for that which we've learned. If someone says, I seduced Esbite Shalploini, if someone says, I seduced so-and-so's daughter, Mishalim, what does he have to pay? Boishes and Pagam, he has to pay the Boishes and Pagam, which of course, based on his own admission, but ve'in mishalim kenas, he does not have to pay the kenas. So he says, I seduce a certain girl, he pays the depreciation and the humiliation, as we learned about yesterday at length, but he does not have to pay the kenas, the 50 shekel kesef. Hoimer ganafti, mishalim is a karen al piatzma, he has to pay the principal. Ve'in mishalim tashlume kefel, he doesn't have to pay the kefel. Tashlume arba v'chamisha, nor does he have to pay the payments of 4 and 5. Hey mishayri as pliny, ashar shal pliny. If someone admits that his ox killed a person, or his ox killed another person's ox, or he's a misham al biatzmai. Hey mishayra avdei shal pliny. If he says that my ox killed son and such is eved shal pliny, hey misham al biatzmai. Zakla. Call a mishalim yeser al mashezik. If you're paying more than the damages, which means it's a form of a kenas, as we'll see, einoi mishalim al piatzmai, then you do not pay on your own admission. You do not pay the kenas based on that which you said, as we're going to see. Says the Gemara, let's go to the first din of the Mishnah, a din that we're familiar with, a din about pitoi versus oines. Says the Gemara of Listia Nasti. Why didn't the Mishnah say, I was a man, such and such daughter? Why does the Mishnah say the case of seduction? Say the case of forceful relations. Explains the Gemara, la mi bayi kamer, la mi bayi, it's needless to say, it's pashit and nasty. That case is pashit, to like a pagim law. In the case where one is ma'anis, he forces a woman to have relations. In that case, he doesn't ruin her at all. Why? Because she didn't agree. He has to pay that's pashit. Of course he humiliated her. Of course she has depreciation. Al biatzmai. Avol patisi, if you seduced her to kapagim law, way in the level of seduction, what goes on? It discredits her. Why? Because by saying that she did it willfully, what does that mean? That means that she agreed to the act. When one says he was ma'anis another person, you're not saying anything bad about that person, you're just saying bad about yourself. But over here, by you saying you mfater, you're saying that she agreed. You're saying she at some level was an accomplice. Emaloi, mishal mal piatzai, maybe in that case you do not pay. Kamash malon, that's the chiddush of the Mishnah, that even in the case of Pito, even in a case where someone says he was mefata such and such his daughter, he still has to pay baishas and pagam, he has to pay humiliation and depreciation based on his own admission. Says the Gemara, 6 lines into the Gemara, Masnisan Deloika Aitan, and the Mishnah is not like the following Tanya, the Tanya of Shimon Yehuda, Aimer, Mishum of Shimon, baishas and pagam. Why? It's not in his power to discredit the daughter. So indeed, the Mishnah is indeed an incredible chiddush. Saying not like Pinei Shimon Yehuda, named Rav Shimon, who says indeed that, too many indeeds, who says that one does not pay al pi atzmai because it's showing that the girl agreed, you're discrediting her at some level. If she agrees, meaning, you just taught me, Rav Shimon Yehuda, Rav Shimon said that you don't have a believability to say that she participated, and therefore you can't pay it based on your own admission. It says the Gemara, what if she says, no, maskim, I did the Aveira, meaning she chooses the cash, she wants to make the money. What is the halacha? Do we say that based on his admission he has to pay because she agrees or no? Answers the Gemara, very good, she agrees. What about her father? You're saying something bad about her father? What about Nichlaviya? Asked the Gemara. Maybe the best of the family doesn't agree. Says the Gemara, a fascinating statement how concerned we have to be for one another. Is there not one person out there that is not happy about it, and therefore says the Gemara, according to Shimon ben Yehuda, name of Shimon, you never pay in the case of Pitoy al pi atzmai. We continue, we're about 20 lines into the Gemara. The first line is Ha'omer, quoting the Mishnah, Ganafti Misham Karen. We're going to get a bit into the dinim. Now, if someone says, I stole, you pay the principal, you play the principal. Says the Gemara, Itmar. Palga Nizika, a big sugya over here, a sugya which is most famously found in Baba Kama, but says the Gemara regarding the nature when you pay half damages. We know there's a tam, there's a muad, the shar, an ox. The first time it gars, it's called a gars. Gores is called a tam, and then after goring 3 times, it's called a muad as the status that this is what it does. So when it gores the first time, it's a tam, it plays half damages. So Palga Nizka, Rapapa Amar Palga Nizka, Memayna Ravuna Bredi Shamar Palga Nizka Kanasa. Fundamental, what is the payment of half damages when known as an ox? The first time it goes out in damages, is the reason you're paying 50% chatzi? Is it because it's a kanas, it's a fine we levy upon you, or is it a mammon, or is it a monetary payment? Explains the Gemara, Papa Amar Balgin is coming. Maina, Rapapa holds it's a monetary payment. Kesavar Stam Shvarim Lav, Cheskar Shimer Kaimi. Says Rapapa, ordinary oxen are not regarded as watched. Meaning, you always have to watch it. And therefore, even the first time it does something wrong, you're held accountable because you got to watch your ox. But then you only should pay for the whole thing. For Achmanu, the Torah felt bad for you. You didn't get any warning, and therefore you only have to pay 50%. But says Rav Papa, it stems from the fact that really you have to pay the whole thing. Why? You should have known. Don't leave an ox loose. You should have known to watch it. Rav Huna Rav Yeshua Amar Balgan is Kinasa. Says Rav Yeshua, no. The half damages is a kanas. You know why? Because really, you have no reason to watch it. The first time you own an ox, you can assume it's watched. And therefore, if it goes in gores, that's abnormal. You shouldn't have to pay anything. For Rachmano, the Kansi and the Torah Kanasi pays you, levies you a fine kechel and inter, so you should guard it even more. So fundamental machlokes Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua versus Rav Papa. Rav Papa says every ox you should have to watch, and if you don't, you're fully liable, or you feel bad for you, so we make you pay 50%. Whereas Rav Huna Bered Yeshua says no, every ox. What are you watching it for? There's no reason to assume anything's wrong. So you really should be potter. We make you pay just so that you're more careful. Continues the Gemara. Now we're going to have numerous questions back and forth versus Rav Papa, Rav Huna Bered Yeshua. Again, Rav Papa says Mammon, Rav Huna Bered Yeshua says Kinas. Says the Gemara, the 2 dots, 10 lines from the bottom of the Amid Tanat. That's a headline statement of a Mishnah. The Nizik and the Mazik are involved in payment. Explains the Gemara. It's good according to Rav Papa that there is a payment. You really should pay the whole thing, and we're makel for you. Why? Now it makes sense. Shaykh, Nizik, and Mazik and Tashlumim, because really you have to watch your animal, therefore you're obligated. And therefore really you should be potter. There's no reason you should have been even watching it all. He say, what shaykh is you have to Tashlumim? Really you're supposed to be fully potter. So why does it say in the Mishnah Nizik and Mazik Tashlumim? Explains the Gemara, no, there is a shaykhas to payment with regard to what? The depreciation of the nevela, of the carcass after the animal's death before it comes to Bezdin. That is a case in which not only the mazik, but the nizik, the one that got damaged, he as well is part of the payment. So just explain one dot deeper, that the question of the Gemara was that if you hold that really you're potter, and we're just giving you a kanas, that's the mazik. The guy who did the damage, he's really potter. The way we say, no, you should pay. So the mazik is shaykh l'tashlumim, but the nizik, the one that got damaged, where's his shaykh is l'tashlumim? Answers the Gemara, that the nizik, the one that got damaged, he has to incur the loss of the depreciation of the carcass. That's how he's involved. The fact that he incurs the loss, that's a form of payment. That's a nizik and mazik, betashlumim. Ask the Gemara, 5 lines in the Y line, B'chas nevela, Tanina. We already learned in the Mishnah, what? Tashlume nezek. It says that payments of damage, that teaches us that the owner has to deal with the carcass. So why would the Mishnah have to say the same din again? Answers the Gemara, Chad betam v'chad b'mur. Utzricha, we need 2 cases. Diashvina betam, I would have thought Misham dekati lo ayid. He wasn't warned yet. Avamur di ayid eim aloi. So maybe the mazik should have to incur the liability. V'yashvina mur Misham dekamishal and Kuli already paid for the whole thing. Avatam eim aloi. Tzricha, therefore we had to say both cases. So we try to ask a kasha, but we stand the test of time. The machlokes Rav Huna bar Yeshua versus Rav Papa. Ask the Gemara again. Tashema. Again, we're going to try to prove that it is a payment of mamoin, like the opinion of Rav Papa, which is going to be a kasha on Rav Huna bar Yeshua, who says it is a kenas. Says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom, Ma'bein tam lemud. What is the difference? Shatam mishal mechazik nezik migufa, yumu mishal nezik shalim min aliyah. Tam only has to pay from the value of the animal itself, whereas a mud pays min aliyah, pays from any properties that you have. And the Mishnah does not say shatam inu mishal al pi atzma, mu mishal al pi atzma. It does not say that a tam does not pay on its own emission and a muad does, yes. And if you're going to tell me that the payment is a kenas, then what's going to happen? That you don't pay a kenas by your own admission. So says the Gemara, so it should also have said that the difference between the tam and the muad should be that you do not pay for the own admission. Explains the Gemara, Tana v'Shayir, a classical Gemara, you're right, but it leaves out other things as well. Ma Shayir, Dai Shayir, what else is left out? Chatzi koifer. It's also left out the payment of half koifer with a tam would kill a person. He does not even have to pay half koifer, whereas a muad would have to. Says the Gemara, that's not called leaving it out. Why not? As we turn over to Mem Aleph on the base, because Amani Rav Yosei Glili, because there is an opinion, namely Rav Yosei Glili, that holds the Amar Tamishal Chazik you have to pay, and therefore says the Gemara, the difference between a tam and a muad is included in the Mishnah, and therefore this is not a case that is left out. So now, says the Gemara, let's flip the tables and let's try to prove that one does not pay a kenas if you admit. Tashema, says the Gemara, 2 lines to the top, if someone says, my ox killed someone, or killed a person, you pay. My love, bitam. Are we not referring to a tam? We're referring to paying chatzi nezek half damages. What do we see? We see it has to be chatzi nezek mimayna. Because if you're going to tell me that it is a kenas, we know that you never pay kenas based on your own admission. So from the fact that you're paying based on your own admission must be a raya that it is mimayna and not kenas. Answers the Gemara, it's talking about a muad, which is nezek shalim, which is a mammon, it's not a kenas. Aval b'tamai in a misham al biatzmai. Adatani seifa of the shaplani in a misham al biatzmai. The seifa of our Mishnah said what? It said that if one's eved, if someone's ox kills the eved, you don't pay. Niflik v'nisib b'dei. Why did it jump the case of eved? To differentiate within the case itself. But med var mamurim b'muad. Aval b'tamai in a misham al biatzmai. So why does the Mishnah, if it's true what you're saying, if it's true that it's not a kenas, so why didn't the Mishnah differentiate within the din itself of tam and muad? Explains the Gemara, kula b'mayir kamayri. The entire Mishnah is talking about a muad, and that's why the Mishnah differentiates in a case of eved. Tashema, one final proof. The Mishnah concluded, and what did the Mishnah say? That anyone pays more than his own admission, then you don't pay on your own admission. Says the Gemara, what's the obvious implication? That if you're paying less than that, what you do, so what do we see? We see that chatzi nezek is indeed mamoin, because if it was kanas, again, you would not pay al biatzma, you would not pay on your own admission. And this the Gemara deflects as well. Loi tema b'chaz ma'shezik elaima. You know what the dig of the Mishnah is? Hoi kamo shezik misham al biatzma. Avo b'chaz ma'ai eina mishalim al biatzma. It says more the same kashna. So listen, Isaac al kushim misham kamo shezik eina misham al biatzma. Why does it say the rule that way? It should have said eina misham al biatzma the mashal pachas umashma yeser tiyufta. So says the Gemara, you're right. for the concluding words of the Mishnah, indeed is in a tiyufta, that chatzi nezik is mamoin. It's not a kanas. Says the Gemara, Ve'elchasa, palgan is a kanasa. What? You just said tiyufta. You just said it's a rayo, that it's not a kanas. Now you're telling me, but the halacha is, it's a kanas. That makes no sense. Tiyufta ve'elchasa. In time amai, what's the reason? He taisiv. Why did you say it's a kasha? Because the Mishnah didn't use the wording in the end of the Mishnah the way that it did. He says, you know why it didn't? Because it was not absolute. Because there is a potential case, a case where the rock shoots out, the rock shoots out and damages, and that case that looks like a mirila. That's why it didn't say it. You wanted to bring me a raya from the concluding words of the Mishnah, and that was a tiyufta that from the Mishnah it's clear that chatzi nezik is mama and palgan is kamemayna. Says Gemara, no, it's not a clear raya. Why is it not a clear raya? Because there is one case that could fit of tzarayres of rocks. That's why the Mishnah did not say it that way. And for that reason, says the Gemara, even though it's a tiyufta, it's indeed a fabulous question, but lamaisa we paskin al ganizka kinasa. Says the Gemara, based on that which we just said, v'hashta da'amre bal ganizka kinasa. The halacha lamaisa, like we just pointed out, is that half damages are indeed a kinas, a fine. Haikalba dacha imra, if we have a dog that eats sheep, v'shunra dacha tarnegoili, or we have a cat that eats chicken, sounds like chadgadya, rav if they are large, large chickens, who one more time. Tarnagal Rav Ravid eats the large chickens. Meshano, it's strange. Veloy Magbinan Bebavel, collected in Bavel. Why? Because we just finished saying it's palgan is a kanasa, and you don't connect kanasim in Bavel. Bavel's bezdin didn't have the same power as a real bezdin, as a real Sanhedrin, so you cannot collect kanasais. Therefore, you wouldn't collect it. Aval zutra, if they're small ones, urchu, that's normal. Or magbinon, and you even collect it in Bavel. The reason being that once it's normal, it's classified a damaging called shane, and that's the reason why it's not called a kanas. Whereas when it's abnormal, that is the reason why you would not collect it in Bavel. But the Gemara points out a very important caveat. It's true that the Bezdin in Bavel doesn't have the power to extract money, to paskin that you have to pay. But if you went and took matters into your own hands, you grab the money, it's yours. V'yamar akvali zman al sim number 3. And if you said to the Bezdin in Bavel, make for me a time, I want to bring this guy up to the Bezdin Eretz Yisrael, makvinale, we make him a time to go, and he has to go to Eretz Yisrael for the court case. V'loy, if he doesn't go, we put him in chayrim. Says the Gemara concluding, regardless if he doesn't listen, we put him into chayrim. The guy who owns the dog or the cat, get rid of your damager, get rid of this dog and cat. How do we know you're not allowed to bring up, raise a bad dog in your house? You're not allowed to have a rickety ladder. You're not allowed to have blood in your house. So regardless, we put the guy in chayrim. So a very important rule we're learning. Palgan is kanasa. Half damages are kanas. Therefore, if it's an abnormal act happening, eating the large chickens, in Bavel, there's nothing we can do. Because Bavel's Bezdin does not have the incredible power to collect kanasais. What you could do is, if you grab it, you can keep it. If you bring him up and you want to bring him to Eretz Yisrael, yes, listen to you. And regardless, Bezdin puts him into chayrim. It's a long, a lengthy parak. We should do an incredible chazara of this third parak of Kesubos. And tomorrow, Mirz Hashem, will start strong in the fourth parak of Nairish and Ispasa.